All right, we are live back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. Sorry about Monday and Tuesday. We had a internet outage in my area, so I was unable to do the show. So there is that. Um, just figured I would give everybody a little update. Let me get this link tweeted. How's everybody doing out there tonight? Just figured I would get it back going. Um, just the big thing here, getting that all squared away. Appreciate everybody who's hopping on. If you can do us the biggest favor, Richie's going to hop on tonight. If you can do us a big favor, if this is the first time catching the show, at the end, probably the last 20 minutes or so, we will open up the phone lines and let people call in. That is something new that we're doing here. And if this is your first time coming across the stream, which I know that we have new people all the time, also live on TikTok. If this is your first time hopping in, hit that like and subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. That is something to where you won't miss anything. Also, programming update for the show. This week's streamed games will be Vanderbilt, Alabama at 3:30, 2:30 Central Time, and then the other game is going to be Miami, Florida State will be the other two. So there's that. Like I said, Richie's going to join momentarily, but we can get into some of the bigger news that has happened today. Oh, there is Rich. Bang. What's up,
Hey,
Rich?
what's up, Duke? How's it going, man?
Oh, same old, same old. Just got a little playoff baseball on. We are live on TikTok as well. I guess we can start this thing off with the AP poll. I know we're a couple days late, but that's what happens when you don't have internet.
It happens. You're kind of got what in your hand. What do you do?
Exactly. So there's the AP poll for this week. I don't disagree with the top three. I am a little shocked to see Ole Miss at 4. They have a showdown with Oklahoma. Probably a little uncertain if Mateer is going to be there. I don't see anything in the first row of teams that I disagree with.
The truthfully, me being the biggest Buckeye fan there is, realistically, I think Oregon and Ohio State should have flip flop.
You think Oregon?
Oregon went on the road and beat Penn State in their place in the whiteout.
So you think that Oregon should be the number one team?
Correct.
I think that getting a lot of people asking, what about Georgia? Do you think the slide for Georgia was warranted?
Yes.
LSU slid. Tennessee, I thought Tennessee was going to move, but I could justify keeping Georgia in front of Tennessee because they played. But we'll just go down it by tiers. Looking at this, I don't really have any complaints about Ohio State being 1, Ohio State, Oregon, Miami, Ole Miss at 4. I think Ole Miss being at 4 is very interesting. I think Lane got a couple of boosts for the documentary coming out. And I think Oklahoma at 5 is justified. A&M at 6. Penn State slides back to 7. So there's that. Indiana at 8, and I already know where this is going to go. Indiana. My thing is that Indiana is going to. We're going to do this all year with IU. I just have a feeling until they play Penn State coming up in a couple of weeks. Texas at 9, I see it. Their only loss is Ohio State. Alabama sliding back in. I think they jumped 7 spots. I mean, it was a big win against Georgia
It was a huge win at Georgia.
Can't deny it there. Tech with staying at 11, Georgia 12, LSU 13. I think the LSU media has done a very interesting job with this. I think if Brian Kelly drops another one or subsequently eliminates himself from the playoffs, the LSU fan base is going to turn, and it's going to be worse than last year.
Pitchforks and torches.
Yeah, that's
Baton Rouge.
That's what's coming out in Baton Rouge. Iowa State, they beat Iowa at home. I would say that's their best win. Kansas State has fell off a map. That is something to be said there. Tennessee's going to stay right put. I don't disagree with that. Now, here's the interesting one. Vanderbilt. A lot of people are doing this with Vandy, trying to say it's a good story, blah, 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 blah. I don't know where you stand on Vanderbilt.
I got to see more from Vanderbilt.
Well, they got Alabama this weekend.
Yeah, I got to see how they do against Alabama.
Do you think that if Vandy goes out and beats Alabama,
are we top 10 team?
That's what I was thinking. If they are relatively close in this, I think if Vandy beats Alabama, Alabama will slide to probably the bottom rung of teams. In my opinion, Georgia Tech will move up. I think Florida State taking that major loss at Virginia, that is not good for Alabama at all, because realistically, Alabama needs Florida State to beat Miami for strength of schedule purposes. As we're going down this, Missouri at 19. I know a lot of people are saying they need to see more from Missouri, but Neil on, and we'll get into the Sam Pittman stuff here in a few, but Neil and Chase pointed out on NPW Digital that Eli Drinkowitz and Lane Kiffin are like 51-6 in their last like combined 25 games or 30 games or something like that.
Pretty damn good record.
And I think Missouri needs a little more respect as well. Michigan, I think they're going to be there.
Yeah.
Regardless, if they keep winning, they're going to be there. So there is that. I know a lot of Buckeye fans that watch the show aren't going to be thrilled with that, but that's just kind of what it is.
I think leading up to that last, Thanksgiving weekend, they'll be 10-1.
Some questions on TikTok. Harry says, what do you think about Tennessee?
What do I think about Tennessee?
Yes.
I haven't watched much of Tennessee this year. I haven't really got a chance to watch them.
And Boston just ties it up, so there's that. Notre Dame. I
think they're going to go. They'll be in the top 8 come the rest of the year. The way that they had 2 tough games right off the bat, dude. Let's be honest; those were 2 tough games.
Yes, those were very tough games. I think that once you get to the meat of Notre Dame's schedule, I think the BC road trip, I still think that sticks out. Notre Dame could go out there and blow them out, and it'll be, what the hell are you talking about? But revisionist history tells me that tells me that Notre Dame is subject to having issues. Illinois slides up a little bit after the loss to um, Indiana, but they're still on the fringe playoff. BYU gets a big win at Colorado. I don't know what to make of Colorado just yet. I think I need to see more of that team. They haven't beat a Power 4 opponent yet.
No, I think Virginia might be a surprise team that could be
So here's the
vying for the ACC championship, dude. Think about it. Clemson's down, man.
yeah, Clemson's down and out, but as I'm looking at Virginia, they got the, I would hate to say it, confirmation biased, because of the big win at home against Florida State. I think that helps their cause. There's also Arizona State hanging on by the skin of their teeth. Arizona State's right there. They're pretty much in playoff mode. I think them and Notre Dame are in playoff mode going forward. We'll look at playoff chances here. This is the percentage. I only took the top graphic on this from CBS Sports. Ohio State, Oregon, Ole Miss, those teams right there over 50%. And then I think it's going to be a crapshoot in the Big 12, to be honest. I don't know.
It's a toss up.
I don't know how you feel about it, but those are the teams with the best chances. And I've been saying, I said it at the end of last year, keep an eyeball on Louisville. So
Louisville.
there's that.
Why Louisville?
Jeff Brom, Miller Moss. If they can get hot and go on a run, I think it could be interesting down there for the Cards, to be honest.
I would love to see Memphis sneak in there.
I think Memphis has a outside chance at it. Another TikTok question I heard: it's supposed to rain in Gainesville on Saturday, so I feel the running game wins the game. Yeah, I think Florida has Texas this week, and if Texas drops one to Florida, that's going to be bad for Sark.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll get into the coaching change that was. This is all tied together real quick. We'll go to the Colorado thing. Colorado fined $50,000 by the Big 12 for saying F the Mormons. I guess their student section was chanting that. I don't know where you fall out on that, but what are your thoughts on that?
And I don't know. That's tough. $50,000 for the students. You know, they're exercising the right of free speech, dude. I mean, what's the big deal?
Yeah, I kind of get that, but we'll talk the big news of the week. Arkansas, Sam Pittman. I think this is an abject failure. This is a train wreck of what's going on down there in Hogland. This is
you think they fire him after this weekend?
He's already fired.
Dude, I haven't been. I mean, I've been kind of crazy with stuff.
I know you've been doing the stuff, but this is from Hunter Yurachek, the athletic director, and this was after the firing of Pittman. Coach Pittman did not have the resources he needed to appropriately compete in the conference right now. Whose job is it to get him the resources?
DAD.
So
and the boosters.
So there's that. I don't know if you're Hunter Yurachek why you would say that out loud to people, to reporters. I just find that very fascinating. I don't know why you would say that, to be honest with you.
Because you're making yourself look stupid.
And so we have that go on immediately after Sam Pittman is let go. The team dismisses Travis Williams, the defensive coordinator, Drake Adams, co-DC D-line coach. They are starting the staff overhaul down there in Fayetteville. I think the defensive coordinator should have went. They were near the bottom in total defense, pretty much every category. They were just bad. So there's that. Also rolling in. I think that I really think that you are cruising for a you're cruising to a very, very stark reality in Fayetteville. I don't know what I really don't know what they are going to do. It has been, I would say, an interesting ride to say the least for the fellas down there in Fayetteville. Here are the coaching candidates that they have. This is what CBS has came up with. GJ Guinea, Rhett Lashley was there before. Bobby Petrino, obviously. Gus Malzahn, Eric Morris, Barry Odom was there before. Ryan Silverfield, John Summerall, Jeff Trailer. I
think it's going to go to Bobby Petrino.
I think if Bobby, he's got 8 games left, and I think it's going to be an 8-game tryout. If he goes
if
he goes 6-2, 5-3, I think that I mean, I'll pull up Arkansas' schedule real quick, and we'll walk down this, but I think that where are you at, Arkansas? They might be off this week, to be honest. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it. I just feel like that when it comes to some of the choices that are being made at Arkansas, they didn't do what they needed to do with the revenue sharing. I can see why the fans are pissed off and the fans are mad. So Arkansas, what Arkansas has left, they have Tennessee, Texas A&M. They're at Tennessee, by the way. They're Texas A&M comes to Fayetteville, Auburn comes to Fayetteville, Mississippi State comes to Fayetteville, and then on the road at LSU, at Texas, and then they have Missouri. What are you thinking out of that? I
think they'll lose to Tennessee. They'll maybe squeak one out against Texas A&M. They'll beat Auburn. They'll beat Mississippi State.
I don't think they'll beat Auburn.
You don't think they'll beat Auburn?
No, but I could definitely see something weird going on at Baton Rouge. That could put
the battle for the gold boot. If Bobby Petrino gets those guys to buy in, it could turn some heads.
We got people on
go ahead.
We got people on TikTok saying if anything above 4-4, Petrino is the coach.
Yeah, they're going. I think if he can, like I said, like if he can get those guys in that locker room to buy in and somehow salvage the season, maybe at 500, like some of those guys were saying on TikTok, the job is his, dude. It's his.
I think he has an outside chance. I don't think they're getting Rhett Lashley. I think Rhett Lashley's out. I think that I don't know. Houston Nutt has came out and said some things about Gus Malzahn and Bobby Petrino kind of beating around the bush that they're not going to get the job. But then again, you got to remember it's Houston Nutt. Ryan Silverfield, I think Silverfield's in the running. I think Jeff Trailer's in the running. I don't think Summerall will take that job.
I think he's got a good thing going at Tulane.
I think Summerall is waiting on one of those epic jobs. I
Like
think
OK
he's
State.
huh?
Like OK State.
No, I don't think he'll take Oklahoma State. I think he's going to it's SEC or bust, and it's going to be one of the top echelon SEC schools. That's just kind of where I'm at on
Fair enough.
on Summerall at the moment. But we can pivot to a lot of talk on the other side of the country. Andy Kotelnicki in the crosshairs with Penn
Ooh.
State fans. Now they're saying Summerall should hold out for Florida if he gets the job at Florida, or if Billy Napier gets let go from Gainesville. But Kotelnicki in the crosshairs here. What are you thinking? Does Penn State make a change at offensive coordinator?
They have to do, because it's not working. What I saw was Saturday night, they were struggling mightily.
Okay, does James Franklin leave Penn State if he gets offered another job?
Yeah.
Because traditionally, how this goes in college football, when you fire coordinators, you're on the clock next.
Yeah.
I
think he's next, and I think he would want to take something else. I mean, what that would be? Maybe a group of 5 gig. I don't know.
Does Franklin throw his hat in the ring for Arkansas? He was in the SEC before.
Yeah. That's a good one, dude.
Because that's all I'm saying.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about Arkansas, even though we were just talking about Arkansas.
Because it's the same thing with Shane Beamer in Virginia Tech. Because he's, for all intents and purposes, I think Shane Beamer should be on the hot seat at South Carolina.
He should.
And I think that if Beamer goes to Virginia Tech, it reinvigorates the program. He has the name. It will bring in booster money. It'll bring in all kinds of stuff. That's what I think will eventually happen at that level, because Beamer gets off the hot seat, he technically goes home. Is really what I'm thinking. But here's the other thing. Some folks on TikTok are saying match made in heaven for Beamer to go to Virginia Tech, and I think he'll get a longer rope. But I also think the rebuild at Virginia Tech is also much more of an undertaking than what he's got at South Carolina, because he's already competing from the back at South Carolina with resources and everything. So
I mean, I would say, concur with, your statement on him going back to Va Tech, quote unquote home. His dad was a legend at Va Tech. It'll reinvigorate the program too, Duke, if because he was familiar with the program for so long, since his dad, since his
right,
as long as I can remember. Didn't he play at Va Tech?
He was like a student manager or assistant, or he might have played. I'm not 100% sure.
I thought he played.
But that's kind of where that is at. But I think it reinvigorates the program. That's just kind of where he's at. We'll go to the bottom 25 this week.
My Golden Flash is at
Kent State is number 7.
Hey, that's all right. I'll take it.
So you lead with UMass, Oklahoma State, Oregon State, even though that was a crushing loss. UCLA, Akron, Arkansas State, Kent State, Sam Houston, Georgia Southern, Middle Tennessee, UTEP, Ball State, Northern Illinois. Even though Thomas Hammock was the toast to last year's town. Air Force, Army, Boston College, West Virginia, Kentucky, Eastern Michigan, Marshall, which I'm not shocked. Arkansas slides in there. NC State. I think the NC State Dave Dorn thing, I think that's coming to an end sooner rather than later. Florida, Clemson, and Rutgers. But I don't think Rutgers is going to. They're not firing Schiano. I just.
No, they're gonna give it a couple more years for him to try and
But
right the ship up over there.
But here's the thing: when it comes to Schiano, he's the only one who's won there.
Yeah, you remember? I think this was back in 06. They played Louisville and they beat Louisville, and they stormed the field that year. So yeah, and that's all I remember. From Rutgers was Schiano. I don't remember any other coach from Rutgers.
Schiano is the only one that's ever won there.
Yeah.
Billy Napier needs to pull off a couple of wins that they don't think he can get in order to keep Florida, in my opinion. I think he's got to win at least 7 to get there.
Right.
7 and 5, I think.
Yeah, I mean, what about our boy Dabo?
They're Clemson, regardless of whatever the fans say, Clemson ain't doing nothing.
No, the guy won 2 natties there. Went toe to toe with one of the greatest coaches of all time in college football.
Right. Now, Mark Stoops, the thing at Kentucky is that he's got a big buyout. It's like $50 million.
Huge buyout.
He's got a huge buyout. I think Rich Rod is completely retooling a program. Bill O'Brien lost Castellanos. I don't. And then the service academies, you can't really say too much about that. That's a whole different animal. Ball State hired Butler's coach. Who knows what that's going to be? UTEP they have no NIL. That's about where that's at. Middle Tennessee, Georgia State, Sam Houston. I know last year had the smallest NIL of anybody. Kent State, who knows if the Flashes can pull it together. Ark State with Butch Jones, who knows? But UCLA is, I was going to say this after they fired Deshaun Foster, UCLA is staring 0-12 in the face.
Who do you bring back to fill that job? Jim Mora Jr.?
He ain't going back there. You got to find somebody that is an LA guy, in my opinion, that wants to be there.
I know one guy that we know of.
Oh, Coach JB. I mean, what if you're UCLA? What do you got to lose?
Why not? What do you got to lose? He turned those boys in Cali right around.
The thing with hiring JB that people won't want to will not want to acknowledge. I mean, he kind of got canceled, but it's very interesting. Now we're getting some Nebraska questions. Wow, what do you think Nebraska ends up for the year?
I think Nebraska ends up 8-4.
We'll go to the schedule and we'll see what we can do with Nebraska. Because, see, the big thing with Nebraska is a lot of Miami fans saying go Canes. I don't disagree with that. I think Miami looks the best out of everybody. I think they've had the most dominating wins. So this is Nebraska's remaining schedule. They got Michigan State, they got Maryland, Minnesota, Northwestern, USC, UCLA, at Penn State, in Iowa. So I think for Nebraska, 8-4 is definitely on the table. I don't see how it's not.
No, I don't see either. They'll be. Let me see here. Where we at? Oh, I got the wrong schedule up. Shit, sorry.
But
I got next year's schedule up. Sorry, Duke.
Oh, it's
yeah, they'll beat Minnesota. They'll beat Northwestern. I don't know, man. Like I November 1st, I think they can beat USC.
It depends on what USC is by that time. We got some folks in here throwing it out there that they believe Florida State will beat Miami this week.
I think so too. Go Noles.
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting because you got the Gus bus with Castellanos. I don't think Miami has seen a full-on running quarterback like that, so it's gonna be interesting if they keep Castellanos in the pocket. It could smell disaster for Florida State. But also one of the big things for Florida State is can your defensive line hold up against Miami's O-line? That's the big question. But we'll go ahead and
the big trenches.
We'll go ahead and hit a
Go
commercial break here, and then the last segment of the show, I'll open up the phone lines. We'll let Richie get out of here, and then we'll hit this last thing. But if you're watching out there, you've made it this far in the show, hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this platform. That's something that we're trying to do. You can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Turn on the bell notifications and help us get there. So, but there is that. And Rich, you got to roll, man.
Yeah, I got to roll. Got to put the kids to bed, and I'll see everybody tomorrow night for some Thursday night football action.
All right, and then Friday we're just going to be pure call-in show. It's kind of going to be a free gamey thing, and we'll just see where the night takes us on that. But Rich, we'll talk to you later, man.
Talk to you later, Duke. See you later.
Yep. All right, that was Richie joining the program for a little bit, offering some things. He is on dad duty, so there's that. I guess we'll go over some ESPN.com headlines. What do we have? Big Ten mulling a $2 million private capital deal. I'm just telling you, if the Big Ten gets in with private equity, that'll smell disaster for them. That's just my opinion. Iowa State loses 2 cornerbacks. Like I said earlier, Colorado fined the $50K. Sinceri, first-year offensive coordinator Tino Sinceri, out at UCLA. Tuesday, they get rid of him, so there is that. Just not a great deal for them. That's just kind of what it is. It is what it is at this point. So there is that. I guess we'll go down. I don't know if these roster figures are the same, or if they're not the same, but if they're accurate, because everybody has pretty much tried to keep what they're spending on their roster in the SEC under lock and key for the most part. But it says, for the audio people, Texas at 19.7, Alabama 19.5, LSU, Georgia, Tennessee, A&M, Oklahoma, Auburn, which I'm shocked that Auburn spent that much on their roster. It says Ole Miss spent 8.9. I'm not buying that with $1. And judging by the results on the field, it looks like Vandy and Mississippi State spent more than Arkansas. So we can always get into the debate on the Arkansas number, but they didn't put in the resources to be successful. Hold on, I'm getting the phone number up for everybody. It'll be on the ticker below. There is the phone number at the bottom. if you want to call in, go ahead and get your call in now. We'll keep the stream up for a little bit, but yeah, those are some of the roster numbers that that I've seen that have been published. I think Vandy probably spent maybe more than $4 million. I would say they're probably in the 6 to 8.5 range. In my opinion, that's just me looking at it objectively. But I think that for what Vandy has spent, I think they are getting tenfold in results. I just don't see how Vanderbilt is where they're at. I know it's tough on programs to raise money, and I get it. I think that going forward, you have to be able to spend 10 to 15 million to have a competitive team. That's just kind of where we're at. Also, like I said earlier, they are turning up the heat on James Franklin. That's just kind of what it is. But do I think hold on, trying to look for something here. But I think Franklin, I think the Penn State folks are mad, and they should be. That's just kind of where I'm at on it. I kind of think that, you know, at a certain point in time, if you're a Penn State fan, you're tired of the losing. I think that there's something to be said there. I think it's sorry about that. I am typing something out. Getting that done. But my thing is that if you're Penn State, I don't know how you kind of put this toothpaste back in the tube, to be honest. I don't think it bodes well. I mean, Jim Knowles isn't going anywhere. They're paying him way too much money. Jim Knowles, but Andy Kotelnicki is, I think, on the hot seat for all intents and purposes. I think Kotelnicki is there. I don't know how you get around that, but also the phone lines are open. If you want to call, go ahead and call now. If you got displeasure with it, that's just kind of what it is. But that's what it is. We got the matchups for this week in college football. Let me get the schedule pulled up. That's just kind of where we're at. Nothing really on Thursday unless Sam Houston, New Mexico State moves the needle for you. Nothing really on Friday. You got West Virginia traveling out to BYU. That could be interesting. 10:30 kick on the East Coast. That's fascinating. ABC has thrown the Georgia Kentucky at noon. It's kind of a bit of a head scratcher. I guess they want to get that in and out of the way. Illinois Purdue at noon. Clemson North Carolina. Clemson unranked. I find that fascinating. We'll see if Clemson can get off the mat. It's one thing to see if Dabo can get it done, but outside of that, Virginia Tech Wake is on the CW. That's fascinating. UCLA has got Penn State come to town, so we'll see where that shakes out. But the big matchups du jour are Texas, Florida. Texas has got to go on the road to the Swamp. Houston season ticket holder here, hoping for an upset on Texas Tech. And I'll say this much. I love what Willie Fritz and the Cougs got going down there. As somebody that's holding a over win total ticket for Houston, go, Willie, go. That's just my opinion on that. I think Willie Fritz and them are going to be really good. So there's that. What's Bama's choices? Playoffs or bust. That's kind of what Alabama's staring at, because if they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be I would say, catastrophic failure. But Alabama's got Vandy this week. I'm hoping the same Alabama team that showed up in Athens will show up this week. Notre Dame has Boise State coming to town. We have a big Notre Dame contingent that watches the show. I think Notre Dame should handle Boise State, no issues, no harm, no foul. They're also on the ticker below. If you want to call, get your call in. That is what we got. Washington travels to Maryland, clear across the country. Nothing there. If Angeli was healthy, I think Syracuse might be burnt to a crisp. They're probably going to be a corpse by the end of the year. They have no quarterback unless Fran Brown finds one somewhere on the roster. Oklahoma's got Kent State. That's going to be a barn burner. They got Nebraska as 11.5-point favorite against Michigan State. Michigan State going on the road to Lincoln at 4:00. I think that game is kind of fascinating, to be honest. That's really not anything that I'm concerned about, but yeah, so the Yankees and Red Sox squaring off in wild card football or baseball. Texas Tech at Houston. I think the boys from Texas Tech should be careful. But in the late window, I think some of the folks that are Minnesota at Ohio State, I am sure the Buckeye fans are going to be real thrilled that it's on Peacock. Miami at Florida State at the Doak, the showdown at the Doak. I think game day is at Tuscaloosa, but the big game of the week is Miami at Florida State. It would have been a bigger matchup if Florida State does not drop that game at Virginia. What's up, Kenny? Go Terps. Yeah. Well, we'll see what Maryland's got. Freshman quarterback. I don't know what the expectation versus reality is with a program like Maryland. That's just kind of where I'm at with it. They got to have. I'm sure they have high expectations, but that's just kind of what it is. And then in a maroon off, Mississippi State at Texas A&M. We'll see what Mississippi State can do. See what they can get going. Going to be very interesting, to say the least. Colorado travels to TCU at 7:30 on Fox. A lot of people are anticipating this being a snoozer weekend, but in years past, if college football has taught anybody anything. The weekends that you think that are going to be slow, not really the greatest games, end up being some of the most interesting weekends of the year. Like the 2-week stretch where Florida beats LSU and Ole Miss in the same week. So there's that. Also, for all the new folks, we're gonna got this down. The number to call 260-255-4069 if you want to call, get your call in. Also, if you call me with a restricted number, I am not answering it. Been there, done that. That's kind of where we've been in the past. So there is that. Just a heads up, if you call me with the restricted number, you're not getting answered. So there is that. Malik Washington has been impressive for Maryland, but the defense has been even more impressive. Yeah, I think Maryland, with Mike Locksley, they haven't had the overwhelming success that they thought that they were going to initially. But I think if they stay the course with Maryland, I think that they can get something going. I look at it as you have to build something into it. Because typically before we got into the microwave society of college football, and with the instant success some teams have had with the portal, like Mike Norvell did at Florida State, I feel like they've got that done. Also, the phone line is open, so if you want to call, get your call in. But you got to look at the expectations versus reality on the floor or on the Maryland side of it. If you want to be an 8-9 win team every year, it's going to be tough at Maryland, in my opinion. They've had success in the past, but Louisville or Virginia this week. I like Louisville. Agreed. NIL delayed Locksley's program. Malik is the type of QB that'll bring in players. Yeah, that's 100% true. I appreciate the insight on that, Kenny. I think that when you have a dynamic quarterback at pretty much the college level, they can bring players in. It's something to sell to recruits, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think that's why Florida's had overwhelming success. I think LSU, that has played a part in it as well. Texas with Arch Manning, they spent buku dollars on to get Arch at Texas. That's just kind of where it shakes out. And I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack for this, but I don't know how the Deion Sanders thing shakes out in Colorado. Maryland has the number 1 recruit in the country committed for 26. I understand that, but here's the deal. In 2027, I talked to somebody that's really, really tied into big-time college football. I have a really good source on this, and he said, do not be shocked if there is a ton of commitments and decommitments in college football going forward, just for the simple fact of the front loading of the NIL rosters, because it's July 1st, I believe. My source told me that you're going to have a ton of commitments, decommitments in there, just for the simple fact of they have to run. Can I see the background, please? It's just I just picked a random college football chances. All the teams that their percentages on to get to the college football playoff. But I think that that's what you're going to see there. You're all good, man. I think that's what you're going to see there. Any NIL goes through a clearinghouse now. The rev share actually levels the playing field. Yeah, it does. And one of the reasons why I was bringing up the high school recruiting is because their junior and senior year, starting in 2027, they have to run whatever benefits they received in high school through the clearinghouse as well. And when that clearinghouse sees what they got for rev share in high school, they take that off the cap, off of your rev share money. So that is also to be advised as well, because I know there was some schools out there that were paying recruits in high school for their commitment leading up to it because they were trying to circumvent the cap. Well, the clearinghouse came back and said that, okay, so if you guys are going to do that, well, whatever they receive, they've got to run that through the clearinghouse, and some kids got some commitments. You got a bunch of commitment flips in the 27 class. That's the whole reason why, because they stopped getting paid, so they decommitted. So there is that. It's pretty much kind of what you got on it. And then with October starting, I know people will be real excited, but Conference USA during the week play starts. They haven't announced all the game times yet, but Texas Oklahoma's ABC for next week. There hasn't been the big 7:30 ABC game announced. The only times that they have not announced are South Carolina, LSU, Georgia, Auburn, Florida, Texas A&M, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say if Florida beats Texas, they will move that into the 7:30 game. It's either going to be that or Auburn, Georgia, to be 100% transparent with you. That's what I think the schedule makers will do. It's just kind of what it is. This is a made for TV sport now, and that's something that people've got to realize. That's why the Magnolia Bowl's going away. But CBS hit a pretty good lick. They ended up with Indiana, Oregon. I can't believe Big Noon couldn't take that because it's on the West Coast. Big Noon is at Illinois, Ohio State. That's going to be a snoozer. So yeah, that's where we're at. Phone lines are open, and the number to dial is there. Also, if you can do us the biggest favor, hit the like and subscribe button. Help us grow this thing. That helps us a ton. That is one of the lifebloods. And also hitting the thumbs up. If you could hit that thumbs up, that helps us even more on there. But if you're coming across the program for the first time, if you can do all those things, that would be great. That's just something that we've got going. Also, if you're watching on Twitter, come on over to YouTube and join the chat. Appreciate everybody doing that. But yeah, I just can't believe that West Virginia kick is at 10:30. Yikes. Although BYU's on Mountain Time, so that is what it is. Illinois, Purdue, Pitt, Boston College. I don't think that's interesting. I think Clemson, North Carolina is going to be very interesting. See what Belichick can get the troops rallied. I'll have a close eye on Texas, Florida, but we'll be watching Vandy for the streaming. It'll be Vandy, Alabama, and then Florida State, Miami. That's just kind of what it is. But the late game is Nevada, Fresno State, and Duke and Cal. Also that night, we are going to be hosting the live call-in show from the day that it was. The only games that won't be final when the call-in show's going on Saturday night will probably be the 10:30 games. So although Tulsa and Memphis getting a late kick as well, So there's that. Just moving along here, seeing if there's anything else that has happened. I really hope the Big Ten does not take that private equity deal. And then Oregon transfer, the Hedges kid that came from Tulane is getting a red shirt, and he's getting out off of citing lack of playing time. That is something in this rev share model that people have to be cognizant of. If you recruit a kid out of the portal and get him there and expecting him to stay just on GP, it's not going to bode well. He's probably going to leave. He'll be in the portal. Probably be a top portal get for somebody looking for a running back. He had a great career at Tulane and decided to see if the grass was greener. Got a bag, and that's what it is. Also, New Orleans to host a CFP title game in January of 28 on ESPN.com. Heather Dittich. I know this is about college football. What do you think about Dylan Gabriel starting? Well, I knew this was going to come up eventually. Dylan Gabriel starting, I think you're 2 weeks away from seeing the Shedeur Sanders show, to be honest. I really think that that's going to happen sooner rather than later. I think the Browns have tried to put the Shedeur Sanders sideshow off for the longest time, and I don't think they're going to be forced to, because I think the fans of Cleveland are fed up with Kevin Stefanski. I think they're fed up with Andrew Berry. I think they're fed up all the way around. That's just kind of my feeling that I've got with talking to some Browns fans. They're just frustrated and they're tired of it. They're tired of not having a quarterback. They re-signed Flacco. I think they re-signed Flacco a year late. They should have stuck with Flacco from last year. Don't know what you're going to do with Deshaun Watson. That's also a financial nightmare. It's just what it is in Cleveland. And I think it was funny. Steve, you should go out there and watch Johnny Manziel's podcast. It's called Glory Days, and Days has a Z in it. He interviews AJ McCarron, and they talk about Johnny's time in Cleveland and how it didn't work out and why they weren't successful. It's a very interesting interview, to say the least. And even though I'm plugging a bigger podcast, but because AJ was in Cincinnati and Johnny was in Cleveland, I really think that it's fascinating on how that did not work, why it did not work, and I'm not shocked either. I mean, the Browns have been dysfunctional. They haven't won the division since 1989. But that's my take on the Gabriel thing. I think you're 2 weeks away from Shedeur Sanders. If Gabriel has a terrible half, then you're halftime away. You're 20 minutes away from seeing Shedeur Sanders. And also what the Shedeur Sanders thing is I think he'll get a couple of games, and if he ain't got it, I think Cleveland's going to go in a total different direction. I don't know what you do with him, but at this point in time, I hate to say this, but I mean, I don't think Kenny Pickett's any better than Dylan Gabriel, or else they wouldn't have traded him. But anyway, January of 28, the college football championship game will be in New Orleans. Heather Dinich wrote this up in an immaculate article. New Orleans will host the 2028 College Football National Championship at Caesars Superdome. The CFP announced Wednesday. The 14th title game in the CFP area will be played Monday, January 24th, following the 2027 regular season playoff rounds. New Orleans will become the third city to host the CFP title game for the second time. The game has also been in Atlanta twice, 2018, 2025, and this will mark its appearance along with South Florida blah 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 at Miami Gardens, whatever the hell that is, the Hard Rock where Miami plays their home games. And then the college football playoff is thrilled to bring the national championship back to New Orleans in 2028, and executive director Rich Clark said in a statement. A few cities embrace college football quite like New Orleans. Its unmatched hospitality, culture, passion for the game. We know the fans and the entire college football community will have an unforgettable experience in the sport's most iconic destinations. Go Blue! Got some Michigan folks. Appreciate the follow there, but yeah, that's kind of what it is. The 2027 game is going to be in Las Vegas, in Allegiant Stadium, I guess. Whatever, it's cool. They can do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We've hit the hour mark. I guess I'll give it one last call. The phone lines are open if you want to call. Get your call in. That is that. But me personally, the last thing I'll throw out on the college football thing, just my opinion here, just one guy's opinion. I think that if they were serious about college football, the national championship would be at the Rose Bowl every year, in my opinion. I would move the season up 4 weeks to where training camp would start in the middle of, what do they have? 4 weeks of training camp. Training camp would be July. You could start at the last week of June, go through July, and then have week 0 the first weekend in August, and then so on and so forth, to where you get it to where college football is done January 1st. And I think eventually you're going to totally scrap the spring ball idea. That's just my opinion. But that's that. I'll give it one last call for the phone lines. The number is on the ticker below. I know there's a little bit of a delay with YouTube, but the number is 260-255-4069 if you want to call. Get us a call in. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today's show. We lost internet yesterday, and I was out for 2 days, so we'll be back Monday through Saturday as long as the season's going on. Might look into streaming some college basketball games as well this off season and see what we got going there. Might have a Sunday night show as well. See what we got there. See what the fan engagement is leading up into Sunday night football. But with that being said, everybody have a good night and take care, and we'll see you back here tomorrow. All right, TikTok, it's been real. I'll talk to you. All right. We will see everybody later.